This is Jake Laughlin bringing you another episode of Discover Denton, the show brought to you by the Convention and Visitors Bureau, highlighting events around Denton. Last week we spoke to you about the I Am Denton video contest, and we had video guru Mekon Hawksman give tips for our local filmmakers, and now we have him back in the studio bringing more tips for our videos. And these are actually pretty sweet tips. This has been really fun being able to talk with Mekon and get his thoughts on how to make better videos. It's simple, it's cheap, it's affordable. It's very cool ideas that he's bringing to the table. So very cool stuff. If you have not seen last week's episode, make sure you go check it out. If it's not online already, at Discover Denton. We'll, or not at Discover Denton, dentonradio.com/Discover Denton. If it's not online there already, it will be very soon, so make sure you keep checking back. And make sure that after you hear Mekon, you go to to iamdentonvideo.com so that you can submit a video about something or someone original in Denton. That's what this whole contest is about. It's been pretty fun so far, and I cannot wait to see the new videos that come in because they're always awesome. And it's wild to see some of the stuff that you find out. Like the guy that owns Beth Marie's, Bob Moses. You know, he's really nice guy, and he's just kind of this very soft-spoken, very sweet gentleman. I met him several times, and then I watch his video and find out that he was a rock and roll drummer back in the day, and I'm just like, that's so cool. So me and Mekon were both talking about that. It was really fun to watch that. So anyways, I'm done rambling on. Here we go, Mekon.
I'm going to talk a moment about editing, and I think that editing might be the point that most people get fearful of making a video. These days, there are a lot of options as far as editorial. If you have a Macintosh, you can probably get iMovie and some other free applications. On Windows machines, there's a lot of options as well, and there's a lot of free things out there that you can use to edit a video together. And once you kind of have that down, it's really more a matter of looking at what you've shot, trying to take out the things that, you know, maybe you don't find that interesting, and kind of building it together. What I try and do is I try and get the story put together first. So if I've interviewed somebody and I'm using the interview as a story, I try and lay that out. So I listen to the entire interview, I pick out the really important bits, and I kind of create a bit of a story from that. And that becomes kind of my base that I edit on top of. And once I've done that, then I start to use the footage that I may have shot of the person doing some work, or if they're, you know, I don't know, if they're a mail carrier, I've shot video of them delivering the mail. That's all the stuff that I lay on top of there. And if I can find pieces that relate to what they're saying, that's how I finally put the whole thing together. Sometimes I'll put music in first, sometimes I'll put it in last. But I do think music is a very important thing. Now, you want to be kind of careful about music. I think we may be okay in the contest as far as using some popular music, but try and find music, if you can, that might be free to use. If you look on the internet, you can find a lot of sources, stock music or free royalty-free music, and that will be very helpful. And as far as any other elements, if you want to add any kind of graphics and things like that, keep it simple. You don't have to go crazy with it. Just lay those on. And if you don't feel like it's necessary, then don't do it. In the end, it really is. It's something about, you know, just try and be creative with it. You're not going to hurt anything. If you mess something up, just go back and put it the way that you want. It's a really fun process once you kind of get into it. And when you're done with it, I think you'll be really proud of what you've done. So I want to talk a little bit about things that you might want to keep an eye out for when you're shooting video and when you're editing as well. I think probably the most important thing besides what you shoot is how it sounds. And sound is a very important thing. And I'm not saying that you have to have, you know, wonderful microphones and all of this, but just think about if you are shooting video with just your camera and the person that you're interviewing is 10 feet away from you, and the microphone, the only one that you have is the one on the camera, it's going to sound a little bit distant. So if you have an option, there's any way that you can plug a microphone into your camera and have the person either hold a microphone or pin a microphone to them, that will really be helpful. The second most important thing is light. Now, again, you don't have to go out and buy a fancy light kit to do this. You can use household lights, or if you want to interview them outside, you can do that. Again, you got to remember the audio, so you don't want to do it on a busy street, but you can probably find a happy medium. And then I think the last thing is really kind of about your composition. When you're shooting video and when you're using your camera, you want to find interesting and different ways to shoot interviews of people. If you're shooting an interview of a person and maybe the person that you're interviewing is self-conscious about themselves, maybe they feel like they're a little bit overweight, or maybe they feel like they're just not the right kind of person. The first thing, of course, you want to do is set them at ease. But if you take your camera and you angle it down at them, so the camera is a few inches higher up than the person, and you shoot down at them, it actually makes it a little bit more flattering on their face. The same thing with light. If you light somebody, try not to make it a harsh light. The harsher the light, the more things show up on a person's face. If you have a soft light, you could even take an office light and put a piece of cloth over it, like a white linen cloth, and that will actually soften the light a little bit. Anything to kind of soften it will make it look a little bit better. And again, in the end, I think it's really just about being creative. You've seen lots of shows and movies where the camera's moving around. If you've got a pretty steady hand, that's a good thing to do. You can kind of move around your subject. You can do shots with, you can kind of make what they call a dolly shot, which is a moving shot. You can sit in the car and have somebody walking down the sidewalk and you're shooting out of the car to have a moving shot. You can use a shopping cart. You can use an office chair for a dolly. So again, things like that are really fun things to kind of think about to add some interesting dynamic to your video. So in the end, the idea is that you can just be really creative with what you have at hand. Don't try and go crazy with having to buy a whole lot of equipment. You really don't have to do anything like that. If you have it, that's wonderful, and more power to you. But if you don't, and you just want to make something, just think creatively, and I think that you're probably going to come up with something really, really interesting. And I think if nothing else, it'll add another layer to your overall production. So good luck to everybody out there.
There you have it. That was this week's episode of Discover Denton. A big thanks to Mekon Hawksman. You can find more about Mekon at mekonhawksman.com. That is MIKONHAAKSMAN.com. I'm Jake Laughlin, your host. Make sure you join us next week where we will be bringing you more highlights of our original and independent city. And in the meantime, go enjoy Denton.